The sky was red, filled with fire and smoke. Explosions shook the ground as human ships rained plasma over the alien city. Buildings fell like sand towers. People screamed, alarms cried in the distance. The city of Virexia Prime was dying, and the war between humans and aliens was reaching its darkest hour. Among the burning ruins, a young human soldier named Ryan moved with his squad. His face was covered in dust, his armor cracked and black from smoke. The command in his helmet said only one thing: evacuate immediately. But Ryan kept looking around, hearing the sounds of war and wondering how many more lives would be lost tonight. He was tired of killing, tired of orders, tired of death. He joined the military to protect people, not to destroy them. But in this war, protection and destruction felt the same. Humans called the Virexians monsters. But Ryan had seen their families, their fear, their pain. Sometimes he wondered who the real monsters were. As his squad moved toward the evacuation point, a distant cry cut through the noise. It was small, high-pitched, and trembling, not the cry of a soldier. Ryan stopped, looking back at a broken building half covered in fire. "Did you hear that?" he asked his team. "No time." "Ryan," his commander shouted, "leave it. We're pulling out." But that sound, that tiny cry, wouldn't leave his mind. Something deep inside him whispered, "Go," before he could stop himself. Ryan turned and ran toward the voice. The heat burned his face, debris fell around him. The air was heavy with smoke. He pushed through the wreckage, coughing, eyes tearing, heart racing, and then he saw it. A small alien child, maybe 6 years old, sitting under a fallen beam. Its skin was pale blue, glowing faintly in the dark. Its eyes were wide and filled with terror. It was shaking, whispering in its language, words Ryan didn't understand. But fear needed no translation. Ryan looked around, no other survivors. Only the fire and silence. The child's breathing was weak. One of its legs trapped under metal. Ryan dropped his rifle, grabbed a metal rod, and began to lift the debris. His gloves melted slightly from the heat. But he didn't stop. The child cried louder, its voice echoing through the ruins. Finally, with a desperate pull, Ryan freed the small alien. He lifted it gently, feeling the trembling body against his armor. The child looked at him, confused. This was the face of the enemy. But Ryan only said softly, "You're safe now." The words meant nothing in alien tongue, but the tone did. The child stopped crying, resting its head on his shoulder. Outside, the squad was already boarding the last dropship. Ryan ran through the fire, clutching the alien close. The other soldiers shouted when they saw what he carried. "Ryan, what the hell is that?" "It's a child," he said, his voice fierce. "An alien child," they argued. "Leave it." But Ryan kept running, ignoring every voice but the one in his heart. The ship door began to close, flames bursting nearby. Ryan jumped through just in time, rolling on the metal floor. Still holding the child tight, the pilot screamed, "We're overweight." "What's going on? Go." Ryan shouted, "Just go." The ship lifted, shaking violently as plasma fire chased them into the sky. Inside, the crew stared at Ryan and the alien child. Silence filled the cabin, heavy and cold. One soldier raised his rifle slightly. Ryan stood between them and the child, eyes hard as steel. "No one touches it," he said quietly. No one dared to move as the ship rose higher. Ryan looked out the window below. The city burned, rivers of fire swallowing what was left of Virexia Prime. He felt the child's tiny hand grab his sleeve. Trembling but alive in that moment, something inside him changed. He didn't see an enemy anymore. He saw a life worth saving. The ship shook again, hit by enemy fire. Alarms screamed, lights flickered. Ryan held the child close as the pilot yelled, "Brace for impact." The world turned white, then black when Ryan opened his eyes. The ship had crashed on a rocky field far from the city. Smoke rose from the wreck, bodies lay still, and everything was quiet again. He looked down. The alien child was still breathing, alive, against all odds. Ryan smiled weakly and whispered, "You're safe now, little one." He didn't know it yet, but by saving that one alien child, he had just changed the course of 2 entire species. And somewhere above the clouds, a mother was searching, and she would find him. The smoke rose like black ghosts from the wrecked dropship. The air was thick with the smell of burning metal and fuel. Ryan coughed, his head spinning, ears ringing from the crash. His armor was cracked, blood on his forehead, but he was alive. He turned his head slowly and saw the alien child lying beside him. The small body was covered in dust, a faint blue light pulsing under its skin. Ryan crawled over, checking for breath. His hands shaking. The child's chest moved weakly. Still alive, still breathing. Relief washed through him like cool water in a desert. Around him, the other soldiers began to wake. Some were hurt, some dead, others trying to contact command. The radio hissed, full of static, no signal, no orders, just silence. They were stranded in no man's land. Miles away from the evacuation zone, Sergeant Cole, their leader, stood up with a limp and shouted, "Move out. We find the others, regroup, and wait for pickup." Then his eyes caught Ryan and froze. "What the hell is that?" he growled, pointing at the small figure in Ryan's arms. Ryan's throat tightened. "It's a child, sir." Cole's eyes narrowed. "That's a Virexian, the enemy. We don't carry their spawn." Ryan stood firm, even though his voice trembled. "She's just a kid, sir." "No threat." Cole walked closer, his hand on his gun. "We follow orders, soldier. You want to get court-martialed for treason?" Ryan looked down at the small alien, then back at Cole. "Then so be it," he said quietly. The other soldiers looked away, afraid to choose sides. War made everyone cold. But Ryan refused to freeze his heart that night. While the others built a camp near the wreck, Ryan stayed apart. He hid the alien child under a thermal blanket. The child stirred, whispering something soft. Ryan didn't understand the words, but the tone was gentle, almost thankful. He handed her his water canteen, showing her how to drink. She copied his movement clumsily, spilling half of it. Ryan smiled. "You're learning fast, huh?" She looked up at him, eyes bright like two small moons. "Ryan," she tried to say. Ryan blinked. "What did you call me?" The child pointed at him, smiling faintly. "Ryan, it wasn't perfect, but it was close." His name said in her voice. Something about it warmed his heart in a way he hadn't felt in years. Later that night, a storm rolled in. Rain fell like bullets, wind howled across the ruins. Ryan pulled the blanket tighter around the child and himself. She slept against his shoulder, her small hand clutching his dog tag. He looked at the tag, shining faintly in the lightning. The tag read Ryan Cross, Human Forces, and for the first time, he wondered what those words really meant. Hours later, the sky broke open with thunder. Then, a sound, distant but clear, and the rumble of engines. Ryan looked up and saw a human rescue ship cutting through the clouds. The squad cheered, waving flares, but Ryan's stomach turned cold. If command found out about the alien child, they would take her, maybe worse. He had to hide her. Fast, quietly, he moved to the wreckage. He found a supply crate half filled with medkits and rations. He placed the child inside, whispering softly, "Stay quiet, okay? Just for a while." The child looked scared but nodded. Understanding more than he expected, he closed the crate lid, leaving a small gap for air. Minutes later, human officers from the rescue team arrived. They scanned the crash site, marking survivors and bodies. Ryan stood straight, saluting, trying to look calm. "Private Ryan Cross," one officer said. "You're lucky to be alive." "Soldier," Ryan forced a smile. "Yes, sir. Just doing my duty." As the dropship lifted off again, Ryan felt the crate shake beside him. His heart pounded. Every bump, every sound made him fear discovery. The officer glanced at the crates. "What's in there?" "Medical gear, sir," Ryan said quickly. The officer nodded and turned away. Ryan exhaled slowly, hands trembling. The ship rose higher, breaking through the clouds. Ryan looked through the small window. Below, the alien planet burned. The war had turned everything beautiful into ash. He pressed his forehead to the glass, whispering, "Hang on, little one. I'll keep you safe." The alien child stirred inside the crate, faintly humming a soft, strange melody. It was the kind of sound that didn't belong to war. It was pure, alive, hopeful. Ryan closed his eyes, listening. He didn't know that the song was a signal. Far away, in the dark of space, a massive alien warship caught that faint frequency, and deep within its command deck, a tall figure with glowing eyes froze. Her heart skipped a beat. Her scanners confirmed it. Her child was alive. In the cold silence of deep space, a ship moved like a ghost, black armor, sharp wings, glowing eyes across its hull. It was the Virexian dreadship, or Kala, feared in every human fleet report. Inside its command deck stood Commander Tarala, the most dangerous Virexian alive. Her armor shimmered like liquid silver. Her eyes burned with grief, because 3 days ago she lost her child. The scanners glowed before her, showing thousands of signals from the destroyed city below. "Nothing yet, Commander," her officer whispered. All life signs show negative. Taralla's voice was calm, but her hands trembled. Keep scanning, she said. My child is not gone. I can feel her. The officer looked down, afraid to speak. Everyone knew that when Taralla felt something, she was never wrong. She was more than a commander. She was a mother with the strength of a storm. And when a mother grieves, even the stars stay silent. Far below on the surface, Ryan sat in a dim medical room inside the human base. His uniform was torn, his arm bandaged, his face tired. He hadn't slept much since the rescue. He kept thinking about the small alien child hidden in a storage bay. Every second felt like a stolen heartbeat. He visited her secretly each night. The base was loud with machines and footsteps, but he moved quietly like a shadow, inside the storage room. The child waited, small, bright, and curious. She had learned a few words, Rayun, she called softly. When he entered, Ryan smiled. Yeah, it's me. He gave her food, wrapped her in a warm blanket. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she cried in her sleep. He didn't understand her language, but he understood her fear. He felt the same every day in this war outside. Soldiers whispered about strange signals. Alien transmissions detected near orbit, someone said. Ryan froze when he heard that. He knew it was her, the child's mother. Still searching, he looked out the window that night. Watching the stars flicker red, a strange feeling filled him. Fear and hope mixed together. Meanwhile, on the alien ship, Taralla stood before the council screen. Old alien voices echoed through the hall. Commander Taralla, one said coldly. The human attack destroyed everything. There are no survivors. She clenched her fists, her voice low and steady. Then why do I hear my child's song? The council fell silent. Taralla played the signal. A faint melody, weak but alive. The same song she once sang to her daughter before sleep. Her eyes glistened. Someone saved her, she whispered. Someone human. Her second-in-command stepped forward. Then we attack the humans, retrieve the child, and burn their base, but Taralla shook her head. No, she said slowly. A human who saved my blood must not be like the others. Her voice carried both pain and curiosity. Find that signal's source, she ordered. But no killing until I see the truth. Back on the human base, Ryan's secret grew heavier each day. Command began routine cargo checks, and rumors spread that a spy might be hiding. Ryan's friend, Sergeant Mills, noticed his nervousness. What's going on with you, man? You're acting strange. Ryan forced a laugh. Just tired, he said. But inside, his heart beat like a war drum. That night, alarms blared. Unknown contact in orbit. The base lights turned red. Soldiers ran to stations. Ryan rushed to the storage room. The child looked up scared, her small hands shaking. It's okay, Ryan said softly. Stay here. I'll protect you outside. Thunder rolled, however, not from the sky but from the stars. The Virexian ship had arrived. In space, Taralla's ship broke through the human defense grid. Lasers flashed, explosions filled the void. But she didn't fire back. She came not for war, but for truth. Her voice echoed through her ship. Find the signal and beam me down. Moments later, she stood on the planet's surface, her silver armor reflecting the burning horizon. She could feel it. Her child was near. Back inside the base, human soldiers panicked. Enemy presence inside perimeter. Ryan grabbed his rifle. Hiding the child behind crates, he heard footsteps, the metallic echo of something powerful. Walking through the corridor, he turned a corner and froze. There she was, Taralla, tall, alien, regal, and terrifying. Her eyes glowed like twin suns. Scanning everything, her voice was deep, echoing in his chest. Human, she said. Where is the one you hide? Ryan raised his weapon but couldn't pull the trigger. Something in her tone wasn't anger. It was heartbreak. He stepped aside slowly, pointing to the corner. The alien child peeked out, her eyes wide, tears falling. Mother, she whispered. Taralla's breath caught. Her knees weakened. She ran forward. Pulling her child into her arms, her armor shimmered with emotion. Her voice breaking into soft alien whispers, Ryan watched quietly, his chest tight. The child turned to him, smiling. Ryan, she said happily. Holding both their hands together in that moment, 3 enemies stood in silence, a soldier, a mother, and a child, and for the first time in the long war, there was no hate, only understanding, but far away. Both human and alien commands received the same message. Unauthorized contact detected. Prepare retaliation. Peace had just taken its first breath and death was already on its way. The night sky burned with light as both human and alien fleets filled the orbit. Warnings screamed across the human base, red alarms flashing like heartbeats. Ryan stood between two worlds. The enemy mother in front of him, and his own army closing in behind. Tirala held her child close, her silver armor glowing under the emergency lights. Her eyes met Ryan's, and in that brief silence, they both knew. War would not understand what they had done, Commander. Human troops are closing in, her officer said through her comm link. Tirala looked at her daughter, then at Ryan. I must leave. They will kill us all, she said softly. Ryan shook his head. If you go, they'll shoot you down. The base has anti-air defense, he paused, his voice breaking. Let me help you escape. Outside, human soldiers surrounded the area. Lasers pointed at the door. Shouts echoing through the corridor. Step away from the alien. Hands up. Ryan moved in front of Tirala, his arms spread wide. She's not here to fight, he yelled. Bullets of confusion filled the air. The soldiers hesitated. They had never seen one of their own protect an alien before. The base commander stormed in, face red with rage. Cross. What the hell are you doing? Ryan's voice shook but stayed strong. She's the mother, sir. She came for her child, the commander sneered. Then she dies with it. He raised his pistol, aiming at Tirala. But before he could shoot, Ryan stepped in the way. The shot fired. The echo cracked the air. Ryan fell, a red line across his arm. The soldiers froze, unsure what to do. Tirala's eyes flared with anger, her body trembling with energy. With one motion, she raised her hand, sending a shockwave that threw everyone back. Walls cracked, lights shattered. Alarm screamed. Ryan struggled to stand, his voice weak. Don't kill them, Tirala stopped. Breathing hard, staring at him, he was bleeding, yet still trying to protect others. That was the moment she truly saw what humanity meant. She turned to her officers through her comm link. Abort attack, she commanded. No one fires. Her officers protested. But Commander, she cut them off, her tone sharp as lightning. I said no one fires. That is an order. Silence followed. Her decision went against everything her people stood for, but she didn't care anymore. Tirala lifted Ryan with one arm and the child with the other. Your people will not spare you, she said. Ryan smiled weakly. I never followed orders well. She looked at him. A strange creature, small, fragile, yet brave enough to stand against his whole army. Something inside her shifted, something old and heavy. Then you will come with me, she said firmly. Ryan blinked. With you? Yes, human, you saved my blood, now I save yours. As explosions echoed outside, Tirala opened her arm device, summoning a transport beacon. A bright column of blue light surrounded them. Ryan felt weightless, the ground fading beneath his feet. Soldiers ran forward shouting, Stop them! But it was too late. The light swallowed them whole moments later. They appeared inside the Virexian dreadship. Ryan gasped. Looking around, massive halls made of black crystal, air humming with alien energy. Tirala's soldiers pointed weapons at him instantly. Stand down, she ordered. He is under my protection. Every alien hesitated, confused. A human standing inside their holy warship was unthinkable. But no one disobeyed their commander. Ryan fell to one knee, dizzy and pale. The alien child ran to him, hugging his arm tightly. Tirala looked at her child, safe, breathing, smiling. A small tear rolled down her metallic cheek. For the first time since the war began, she allowed herself to breathe. She turned to her officers. Send a message to the council. Message, Commander. She nodded. Tell them the truth. A human soldier saved my child. The room went silent. Her officers looked at each other in disbelief. Commander, the council will call this treason. Tirala's eyes glowed bright. Then let them. Meanwhile, deep in space, human satellites tracked the alien ship's movement. Command ordered immediate retaliation, target lock on the enemy dreadship, but then something unexpected happened. Tirala's ship powered down its weapons, broadcasting a peace signal. The message carried Ryan's voice. Recorded before he passed out, this war doesn't have to end in fire, he said softly. It can end with one act of mercy across the stars. Humans listened, and for the first time, they hesitated to fire. On the dreadship, Tirala stood beside Ryan's medical pod, watching the strange human sleep. Her daughter sat near him, humming the same melody that started it all. Tirala whispered to herself, You risked your life for my child. Now I will risk my world for yours. But deep in the void beyond the system, A darker fleet was already moving. Neither human nor Virexian, something older, silent and hungry, and soon both sides would need each other to survive. The stars outside the dreadship glowed cold and distant. Human and Virexian fleets stayed locked in silent orbit, weapons ready but not firing. For the first time in years, there was no shooting. No screaming, no dying, only waiting, and that waiting felt heavier than any battle. Ryan woke up in a soft alien chamber. The ceiling glowed with dim blue light, the air warm and sweet. He blinked, confused, trying to remember where he was. Then he saw her, the small alien child sitting beside him, holding his hand. Her smile was gentle, her eyes full of trust. He whispered, "You're okay." She nodded, her small voice trembling. "Ryan safe now?" Ryan smiled weakly. "Yeah, we're both safe. For now." Tarala entered the room quietly. Her armor was gone, replaced by a long black robe, her expression softer than before. She looked at the human soldier with a strange calm. "You survived," she said. "Your kind is tougher than I expected." Ryan tried to sit up, wincing from his injury. "Where are we?" "In orbit, above your world," she replied. "My people demand vengeance, your people demand war, and yet we are here caught between both." Ryan's face hardened. "They won't trust me." "And your council won't trust you." Tarala nodded slowly. "Trust is not given. It is built, one act at a time." Her daughter looked up at both of them, innocent eyes watching two worlds collide. Ryan sighed. "Then we build it." But beyond the quiet of that chamber, the universe was boiling. Human command intercepted Tarala's peace signal, and they didn't like what they heard. "Cross has been captured," said one admiral coldly. "The alien is using him for propaganda." Others whispered that he was a traitor. Orders went out. Retrieve Ryan Cross, dead or alive, at the same time. The Virexian council gathered in their dark halls. Ancient voices hissed in the shadows. "Tarala has broken the code. She brought a human aboard. She speaks of peace. She endangers us all," another hissed. They decided her punishment, death by void release. But she didn't care, not anymore, because her daughter was alive, and a human had saved her. On the dreadship, Ryan stood before Tarala's bridge window. "Looking at Earth, it's strange," he said. "I never thought I'd miss it this much." Tarala joined him, her eyes reflecting the same planet. "Your world looks beautiful from far away," she whispered, "but from here, every world looks peaceful." Ryan smiled faintly. "Yeah, that's the lie space tells, and everything seems calm until you land." Suddenly, alarms flashed red. Tarala turned sharply. "Report. 2 fleets approaching, 1 human, 1 Virexian, both broadcasting attack signals." Ryan's blood turned cold. "They're coming for us," he said quietly. "Yes," she answered, "both of them." Moments later, the communication screen flickered to life. Human and Virexian leaders appeared side by side, and not united, but accusing. "Commander Tarala," said the alien counselor, "you are charged with treason." "Private Ryan Cross," said the human admiral. "You are charged with aiding the enemy." Ryan laughed softly. "So mercy is a crime now?" "Mercy," the admiral spat. "Got thousands of our people killed." Tarala's voice cut through the channel. "No, hate did that." Her tone was calm but carried the weight of thunder. "We both lost children to this war, mine by your fire, yours by your pride." The transmission cut and silence fell again. Outside, engines charged, weapons armed. Tarala looked at Ryan. "We can run. Or we can stand." Ryan looked at the small child holding his hand. He shook his head. "We stand." They worked together. Human tech and alien systems merging. Ryan rewired the ship's shields while Tarala coordinated drones to block incoming missiles. The dreadship became a fortress of light and sound. 2 species fighting side by side for the first time. Every explosion outside shook the metal walls. Inside, Ryan kept his focus, his heart pounding. He didn't fight for orders now, he fought for what was right. Suddenly the child screamed, pointing at a breach in the hull. A blast tore through the corridor, fire rushing in. Ryan ran. Grabbing her before the flames reached, the explosion threw him into the wall. Pain ripping through his chest, he could barely breathe. But he still covered the child with his body. Tarala appeared, pulling them both into the escape chamber. Her face was covered in dust and blood. "She hit the controls, sealing the chamber, Ryan." "You have done enough," she said, her voice trembling. He shook his head, weak but firm. Not yet. Outside, human and alien ships continued to destroy each other. No one realized that their greatest enemies were saving the universe from itself. As Ryan lost consciousness, Tarala whispered, "Hold on, human. You started something greater than war." The chamber launched into the void, spinning toward an unknown moon. Behind it, the dread ship took the full hit of the last missile. It vanished in white light. For a moment, it looked like the stars were crying. When Ryan woke again, he was lying under an alien sky. Beside him, the child was alive. Tarala, too, barely. Smoke rose from the wreck. But the world was quiet. Ryan looked up at the stars, whispering through cracked lips, "So this is the price of mercy." And somewhere above, both armies listened to the black silence of space, realizing too late that one human soldier had done what they never could. He had stopped the war. Even if it cost him everything, the first thing Ryan heard was the wind, soft and slow like the whisper of ghosts. He opened his eyes and saw a red sky, 2 suns hanging above a field of silver grass. For a long moment he couldn't move, his body heavy, his lungs burning. Then he felt a small hand on his shoulder, gentle and warm. He turned his head and saw the alien child smiling faintly. Her big eyes filled with light. "Ryan," she said softly. "Wake." Ryan blinked, his voice dry and weak. "You're alive," she nodded. "Mother too." He sat up slowly, pain running through his ribs. Tarala stood a few meters away, her armor broken, half of it gone. Her face covered in ash, but she was standing, alive. Her gaze moved from the horizon to Ryan. "We made it," she said quietly. "Barely." Ryan looked around. They were on a strange moon, glowing with blue dust and endless silence. No warships, no cities, no sound of guns, only peace, the kind that felt too still to trust. Ryan pushed himself up, wincing. "How long was I out?" Tarala glanced at the twin suns. 2 days. Maybe 3, her tone softened. "You almost died again?" "Human," he gave a weak smile. "Yeah, I'm making it a habit." The child giggled quietly, her voice a melody in the empty world. Even in pain, Ryan couldn't help but smile back. They built a small shelter from wreckage. Tarala hunted small glowing creatures that ran through the grass. Ryan repaired the ship's comms using scraps and luck. He wasn't a scientist, but survival made everyone learn fast. At night, they sat near the fire. The child slept between them, her small head resting on Ryan's arm. For the first time since the war began, there was no side, no uniform, no orders, just 3 souls breathing the same quiet air. One evening, Ryan looked at the stars and spoke. "You risked everything for me." Tarala didn't look at him, her eyes fixed on the fire. "You did the same." He shook his head. "I broke laws. You betrayed your people." She looked up then, her voice steady. "Maybe both of us were just tired of obeying lies. But peace never lasts long in the universe." 3 days later, the comm unit Ryan was repairing came to life. A voice crackled through, low and distorted. "Unknown distress signal detected." Ryan froze. "That's not human command." Tarala narrowed her eyes, scanning the frequency. Her face darkened. "It's not Virexian either," Static hissed, followed by a faint mechanical tone, then a voice unlike anything they had ever heard. "Cold, empty, ancient organic signals confirmed," it said. "Harvest begins." Ryan's blood ran cold. Tarala stood immediately. Hand on her weapon, she looked at the stars. And for the first time, Ryan saw fear in her eyes. "What is it?" he asked. Her voice was low. "Something older than us. Something that destroys everything it finds." The child woke, frightened by the tension. "Mother?" Tarala knelt down, holding her close. "It's all right. My light." But her hands trembled. Moments later, the ground shook. A strange shape appeared on the horizon. Tall, metallic, moving like liquid metal. Its eyes glowed with pale light. Its arms long and sharp. Ryan grabbed his rifle. Standing in front of Tarala and the child, "Guess peace didn't last long," he said grimly. Tarala stood beside him, her weapon humming with energy. "No," she said, "but at least now we fight together." The creature moved fast, faster than any soldier could see. Ryan fired first. Bullets tearing through the air, they hit, but the thing didn't bleed. It only shimmered and kept coming. Tarala unleashed a plasma bolt. The impact lighting up the field, the creature screamed, a sound that felt wrong, too human and too machine at once. Ryan reloaded, shouting, "What is this thing?" Tarala answered between breaths. "The old machines, the ones that ended the first age. The reason our species went to war. To prepare for their return." The creature lunged, striking Ryan across the chest. He hit the ground hard, gasping for breath. Tarala charged forward, slicing the machine in half with her blade. It fell, twitching, its metal burning, but even as it died, it whispered, "More. Coming." Then it exploded into dust. Ryan coughed, trying to sit up. "We need to warn them at both sides." Tarala looked at the smoking remains. "Yes," she said, "but they will not believe us until they see it." He wiped blood from his mouth. "Then we'll make them see." That night, as they repaired their signal beacon, Ryan recorded a message. Short, simple, true. This is Private Ryan Cross, survivor of the Virexian War. Humanity and Virexia are no longer enemies. A greater threat is coming, one that kills all life. If you can hear this, prepare together. The signal spread through the stars. Some ignored it, some feared it, but others listened. And somewhere, far beyond their reach, the machine swarm awoke, thousands of cold eyes opening in the dark, following the signal back to its source. Ryan looked up at the sky, feeling the pull of destiny again. Tarala stood beside him, her daughter asleep between them. He whispered, "We stopped one war, but maybe this was the real one all along." Tarala nodded, her voice low and certain. "Then we fight human not as enemies, but as the last of the living," and high above the twin suns, metal wings unfolded across the void. The universe was about to learn the true meaning of mercy. The twin suns rose over the silver plains. Their light painted the wreckage of the escape pod in gold and shadow. Ryan stood on the hilltop, armor cracked, rifle in hand, beside him. Commander Tarala adjusted the beacon tower, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon. The child, small and silent, watched the sky with fear. They all felt it, the storm that was coming. Above the clouds, space shimmered like broken glass. Thousands of metallic shapes appeared, crawling out of the dark. The ancient machines, the harvesters, long forgotten, long asleep, now awake and hungry. Their bodies moved like living metal. Their voices one endless hum, every ship, every creature, every sound in the universe bent before their cold rhythm. Ryan tightened his grip on the rifle. "So those are the things that ended the First Age," he said quietly. Tarala nodded, her face calm but her hands trembling. "They do not conquer, they erase." Her voice held the weight of 10 wars. Her eyes glowed with battle light. "If they reach our worlds, everything ends." The beacon flashed red, showing human and Virexian fleets closing in. Ryan exhaled. "At least they heard us," "Yes," Tarala said. "But they come for war, not alliance." He gave a half smile. "Then let's give them a reason to fight together." Moments later, the first harvester ship entered the atmosphere. Its size blotted out half the sky, wings made of spinning blades. A heart of blue fire, the sound shook the land. Animals fled, the air burned. Ryan looked at the alien child kneeling beside her. "Stay close to your mother," he said softly. "No matter what happens." The child held his hand tightly, her small fingers trembling. "Ryan, stay too," she whispered. He smiled. "Not this time." "Little one." The machines landed like meteors, hundreds of them marching through the fields, their bodies glowing red. Tarala's soldiers teleported in, followed by human marines, both sides pointing weapons at each other. Until they saw the real enemy, the ground shook again, and the first harvester screamed, a sound like tearing worlds. Ryan raised his rifle, shouting, "Now!" Together, and for the first time in history, humans and Virexians fired as one. Explosions lit the sky. The air filled with plasma, bullets, and fire. Tarala fought like a storm, blades cutting through metal beasts. Ryan moved beside her, covering every gap, protecting every life he could. The child watched from the shelter, tears streaming down her face. Two species that once hated each other now stood shoulder to shoulder, bound not by orders but by one man's mercy. But the harvesters were endless. For every one destroyed, 2 more appeared. Their core ship descended slowly, pulsing with cold light. Tarala looked up. "That is the source," she said. "Destroy it." "And they fall?" Ryan wiped blood from his mouth. "Then we end it there." He sprinted toward the ship, dodging debris, firing non-stop. Tarala shouted after him, "Ryan, no!" But he didn't stop. He knew what he had to do inside the wreckage. He found the ship's open core, a swirling heart of light and energy. It looked alive, whispering like 1,000 voices. His armor systems warned. "Radiation critical," he smiled. Yeah. "I know." He placed his hand on the detonator strapped to his chest. His voice cracked over the comm. "Tarala, take her far away." Tarala's voice came through static. "Ryan, you'll die," he laughed softly. "Maybe, But not for nothing. He looked at the glowing core, his reflection shining in its light for once. "We're not enemies." Outside, Tarala ran toward the ship, screaming his name. The child cried, reaching for him. "Ryan!" She shouted again and again. Ryan closed his eyes, his voice calm. Tell her to keep singing." He pressed the trigger. The world exploded in white. The sound of light swallowed everything. The shockwave tore across the land. Every harvester froze, their lights dying one by one. The sky cleared, leaving only silence. Tarala fell to her knees, holding her daughter, tears running down her metallic face. The human and Virexian soldiers stopped firing. Lowering their weapons, they all looked to the sky. A single beam of light rose from the burning wreck, fading into the stars. It was beautiful. It was farewell. Days later, the fleets withdrew. Both sides signed the first peace accord in galactic history. And at the heart of it, they placed a statue, a tall figure in broken armor holding the hand of a small alien child. Beneath it, the words carved in both languages read, "He protected the enemy and found a friend instead." Years passed, and the child grew. She became an ambassador between worlds. Every time she spoke before the council, she wore Ryan's old dog tag around her neck. People called her the voice of the protector, and every time the sun set over the silver plains, she looked to the stars and whispered, "Ryan, I still sing your song." And somewhere in the endless quiet of space, a small light moved across the darkness like a soul refusing to fade. Because mercy never dies, it only changes worlds.